give me peace about their behavior when I'm not around.
Welcome back to The Life with the Browns. What just came out of Suki's mouth has completely shaken the Sister Wives fandom, and honestly, it may change the way people look at this entire family forever. When the official tell-all host, the very woman who sits face-to-face with this family during their most uncomfortable and revealing moments, makes a prediction about their future, people listen. And this time, the prediction she made was so shocking that it instantly spread across social media like wildfire. According to Suki, there is a real possibility that Kody and Robyn Brown could eventually bring a new wife into their family. Let that idea sit with you for a second. This wasn't some random internet theory from a fan forum or a late-night Reddit thread where people connect that may not even exist. This wasn't gossip from a casual viewer trying to stir up drama. This was coming directly from someone who has spent years sitting across the table from the Browns, asking them questions most people would never dare to ask. Someone who has watched their body language up close. Someone who has heard their unfiltered thoughts during breaks in filming when the cameras supposedly stop rolling. Suki is not guessing. She is speaking from a perspective that very few people outside the Brown family have ever had. And the timing of her comments couldn't be more interesting. Many fans still remember the photo that went viral last summer. It showed Kody and Robyn attending a beer festival in Arizona. At first glance, the picture didn't seem like a huge deal. Public figures get photographed at events all the time. But what caught everyone's attention was the third person standing beside them. A blonde woman. Someone no one in the fandom could identify. She wasn't a known friend. She wasn't a family member. And she certainly wasn't someone viewers had ever seen before on the show. But what really caused the internet to explode was a small detail that seemed innocent at first, but quickly turned into a massive speculation storm. In the photo, that mystery woman had her hand resting directly on Robyn's stomach. Within hours, social media was filled with theories. Was Robyn pregnant again? Was she expecting another baby? Fans began zooming into the photo, analyzing every pixel, debating whether there was a visible baby bump or whether Robyn's posture suggested something else entirely. Entire discussion threads were created dissecting that single moment. But now, after hearing Suki's comments, some fans are beginning to wonder if everyone completely misunderstood what that photo actually captured. What if the moment had nothing to do with pregnancy? What if it represented something entirely different? Something far more significant? Something connected to the future of the Brown family itself. The theory suddenly being discussed is that the mystery blonde might not have been just a random woman at a festival. She could have been someone far more important. Someone who might have been getting to know Kody and Robyn. Someone who might have been entering their world. Someone who might have been a potential new sister wife. Now, before anyone dismisses that idea as ridiculous, it's important to understand where Suki's comments came from. She recently sat down for an extended 2-part interview with Sarah Fraser, and during that conversation, she began revealing behind-the-scenes insights that the public had never heard before. The interview quickly turned into something much bigger than anyone expected. Instead of simply discussing past seasons of Sister Wives, Suki started opening doors into parts of the Brown family's reality that viewers had never been allowed to see. She talked about secrets. She talked about contracts. She talked about internal dynamics within the family that don't make it onto television. And she even hinted at something called the Sister Wives Club, a phrase that instantly sparked curiosity across the fandom. But perhaps the most fascinating part of her discussion came when she explained why she believes a new wife entering Kody and Robyn's life might not just be possible, but actually logical. According to Suki, the key to understanding this possibility lies entirely with Robyn. Because Robyn Brown did not accidentally end up in a polygamous family. She chose it. She believed in it. She actively pursued it. From the very beginning of her relationship with Kody, Robyn made it clear that plural marriage wasn't something she tolerated. It was something she valued deeply. She spoke openly about the spiritual importance of sister wives. She talked about the emotional bonds between women who shared the same husband. To Robyn, polygamy wasn't just a lifestyle. It was part of her faith, part of her identity, part of what she believed God wanted for her life. But now, after everything that has happened over the past several years, Robyn finds herself in a position she never expected to be in. She's living in what is essentially a monogamous marriage. Christine left. Janelle stepped away. Mary eventually closed the chapter as well. One by one, the women who once formed the structure of the Brown family walked away from Kody. And Robyn was the only wife left standing. From the outside looking in, some fans assumed this outcome was exactly what Robyn wanted all along. Many critics accused her of secretly pushing the other wives away so she could have Kody entirely to herself. But Suki's perspective suggests the situation might be far more complicated than that. Because Robyn never signed up for monogamy. She signed up for sisterhood. She signed up for a religious covenant built around plural marriage. And now, according to insiders, that shift from polygamy to monogamy may be creating a deep internal conflict within her. A conflict that viewers might not fully understand. A conflict that could eventually lead to a surprising decision. One that might reopen the door to plural marriage all over again. And if that happens, the entire future of the Brown family and the future of the show itself could change in ways nobody expected. As the conversation between Suki and Sarah Fraser continued, the discussion began moving into territory that the Sister Wives fandom had never seriously explored before. What started as a simple interview quickly turned into something much deeper, revealing layers of the Brown family dynamic that viewers have only ever seen glimpses of on television. And one particular moment in the interview changed the entire tone of the conversation. Sarah Fraser asked a question that nobody expected. She wondered out loud whether Robyn Brown could possibly be bisexual. For a moment, the atmosphere in the interview shifted completely. Even Suki seemed surprised by the direction the conversation had taken. Instead of immediately shutting the idea down or laughing it off, she paused. And that pause spoke volumes. Suki admitted that she had never directly asked Robyn anything along those lines during their tell-all sessions. It simply wasn't something that had ever come up in her conversations with the family. But what caught the attention of fans was the fact that she didn't dismiss the possibility either. She seemed thoughtful, careful, almost as if she realized the idea wasn't entirely impossible. Now, this theory might sound shocking at first, but when you look back at Robyn's behavior throughout the years, some fans believe there might actually be clues hiding in plain sight. From the moment Robyn joined the Brown family, she talked constantly about the importance of sisterhood. She didn't just describe plural marriage as sharing a husband. She described it as building deep emotional connections with the other women in the family. Over and over again, Robyn spoke about wanting a strong bond with her sister wives. She talked about the comfort of having other women around who understood her life. She talked about how powerful it felt to raise children together and support each other through challenges. When Christine left the marriage, Robyn appeared devastated. And while many viewers assumed her sadness came from watching the family fall apart, some insiders suggest that Robyn's grief may have been more personal than that. According to sources close to the situation, Robyn didn't just feel like she was losing a sister wife. She felt like she was losing Christine herself. That emotional connection between the women in the family has always been stronger than the show sometimes portrays. In fact, several insiders have suggested that the relationships between the wives were often more emotionally intense than the relationships they shared with Kody. Plural marriage in their faith tradition is supposed to create a kind of spiritual sisterhood. The wives are expected to support one another, care for one another's children, and build a bond that goes beyond jealousy or competition. But what if, for Robyn, those connections meant something even deeper? That possibility is exactly what made Sarah Fraser's questions so intriguing. What if Robyn's desire for plural marriage was not just about religion? What if it was also about the emotional intimacy she experienced with other women in the family? Suddenly, the idea of bringing a new wife into the picture starts to look very different. Because if Robyn truly misses that kind of companionship, then adding another woman to the family might not feel like a burden. It might actually feel like something she's been longing for. Suki revealed another fascinating detail during the interview that adds even more weight to her prediction. Unlike most journalists who only interact with the Browns during public interviews, Suki has spent time with both sides of the divided family. She has visited Kody and Robyn at their massive Arizona home, often referred to by fans as the McMansion. She has seen how they live, how they interact when the cameras aren't capturing every second. But she has also spent time with Christine in Moab. She has witnessed the completely different life Christine built after leaving the family. That kind of access gives Suki a perspective that almost nobody else in media has. She has seen the contrast between these worlds. She has witnessed the emotional fallout from the family breakup. And when someone with that kind of insider view predicts that a new wife might eventually join the family, it's difficult to simply dismiss the idea as speculation. Meanwhile, fans continue to obsess over the mysterious blonde woman from that Arizona Beer Festival photo. Even months later, nobody has been able to identify her. She doesn't appear to be related to the family. She isn't someone who has appeared on the show. And despite countless internet detectives trying to track her down, her identity remains completely unknown. But what stood out to many people who analyzed the image closely was the body language. All three individuals looked extremely comfortable together. There was no awkwardness, no distance, no signs that the woman was just a random fan asking for a picture. Instead, the moment looked relaxed, natural, almost like three people who had already spent a lot of time together. Some observers described the interaction as the kind of body language you see between people who share a genuine connection. And if that connection was already forming, it raises an interesting question. Could that festival photo have captured the very early stages of a potential courtship? In traditional plural marriage communities, courtship is often handled quietly and privately before it becomes public knowledge. Families spend time together, getting to know each other before any formal commitment is announced. That means it's entirely possible that if Kody and Robyn were considering adding another wife, the process might begin long before viewers ever hear about it. Of course, none of this has been confirmed. But the timing of that mysterious photograph combined with Suki's prediction has caused fans to re-examine every detail. Because if there really is a new chapter forming behind the scenes, the public might have already witnessed its first glimpse without even realizing it. And if that's true, the upcoming season of Sister Wives could reveal a storyline that nobody saw coming. But the biggest surprises about the future of the show weren't just about new wives or mysterious women. According to Suki, Season 21 is about to change everything. And the secrets waiting to be exposed might completely reshape the way fans see the Brown family forever. If fans thought the rumors about a possible new wife were the most shocking part of Suki's interview, they quickly realized something even bigger was hiding beneath the surface. Because according to the tell-all host herself, the upcoming season of Sister Wives isn't just another continuation of the story we've been watching for over a decade. Season 21 is reportedly going to change the entire direction of the show. And the reason for that shift has everything to do with secrets that have been quietly building behind the scenes for years. During her conversation with Sarah Fraser, Suki confirmed something that many viewers had been worried about for months. Despite rumors circulating online, Sister Wives is not canceled. In fact, production is moving forward with a new season that insiders say will be one of the most revealing chapters in the show's history. But what truly surprised fans was the announcement that the traditional tell-all special is being expanded. For years, the tell-all reunion episodes have been split into 3 parts. That format has been standard for the show's biggest confrontations and emotional breakdowns. However, according to Suki, that structure simply wasn't enough this time. Season 21's tell-all will reportedly be 4 parts instead of 3. An extra hour of television. An extra hour of uncomfortable questions. An extra hour of revelations that producers apparently believe are too important to leave on the cutting room floor. That alone suggests something major is about to come out. And one of the biggest mysteries fans will finally learn about involves something that has been quietly referenced for quite some time now, the NDA situation. For months, small hints have appeared throughout interviews and social media comments suggesting that someone connected to the Brown family signed a non-disclosure agreement preventing them from speaking publicly about certain topics. But no one has ever fully explained what that agreement covers. What exactly is being hidden? Who signed it? And why would a reality TV family that has shared their lives with the world for over a decade suddenly need legal protection to keep specific details secret? According to Suki, viewers will finally start getting answers. She didn't reveal every detail during the interview, But the way she spoke about the situation made it clear that whatever this NDA involves has been a source of tension within the family. It's the kind of secret that producers have deliberately avoided discussing until now. But season May 21st finally break that silence. Then there's another phrase Suki mentioned multiple times that instantly sparked curiosity across the fandom. The Sister Wives Club. At first, it sounded almost like a joke. But the more she spoke about it, the more it became clear that this phrase represents something real within the dynamic of the family. Suki couldn't explain exactly what it meant, but she hinted that the relationships between the women in the family go far deeper than viewers have ever been shown. For years, the show has focused heavily on Kody and his relationships with each wife individually. The narrative often centered around jealousy, scheduling conflicts, and the challenges of sharing one husband. But according to Suki, that perspective barely scratches the surface. Behind the scenes, the wives formed their own alliances, their own support systems, and their own emotional networks that sometimes existed entirely separate from Kody. Those bonds created a kind of unspoken sisterhood, a private understanding between the women who were all navigating the same complicated lifestyle. And within that sisterhood, there were friendships, there were disagreements, there were secrets, there were moments of loyalty that viewers never witnessed. But there were also betrayals. And according to Suki's hints, season May 21st finally revealed parts of that hidden dynamic. The idea that these women had their own club suggests that their relationships with each other were just as important, if not more important, than their relationships with Kody himself. Which might explain why the collapse of the family hit some of them so deeply. Because when Christine walked away from the marriage, she wasn't just leaving Kody. She was leaving the entire structure that had defined her life for decades. And when Janelle eventually separated from Kody as well, it created even more fractures within that sisterhood. But perhaps the most surprising storyline expected to emerge in season 21 involves someone who technically isn't even a member of the Brown family. Christine's new husband, David Woolley. According to Suki, viewers should prepare themselves for a very different kind of perspective entering the Sister Wives universe. Because David reportedly has strong opinions about polygamy. And he isn't shy about sharing them. During the upcoming season, David is expected to openly discuss his belief that plural marriage can be deeply harmful to women. Not just difficult, not just complicated, but abusive. Those words alone are enough to create tension that could easily explode on camera. Think about the situation for a moment. David married Christine after she spent nearly 3 decades living in a plural marriage. He stepped into a family that has become the most famous example of modern polygamy in America. And now he's apparently willing to speak openly about his belief that the entire system is fundamentally flawed. That kind of statement isn't just controversial. It directly challenges the belief system that Kody and Robyn still claim to follow. Imagine the moment when Kody hears Christine's new husband describing polygamy as abusive. Imagine Robyn's reaction, knowing that she still views plural marriage as a sacred religious principle. Those conversations alone could produce some of the most emotionally intense scenes the show has ever captured. But even with all of those storylines building towards season 21, there was still another revelation from Suki that left longtime viewers completely stunned. Because one of the wives who seemed the most detached from the family's religious beliefs is now making a decision that nobody expected. And that decision could reopen the spiritual side of the story in a way the show has never fully explored before. Just when fans believed they had a clear understanding of where the Brown family stood after years of emotional breakups and fractured relationships, Suki revealed a detail that completely changed the conversation. And surprisingly, it involved the one wife who many viewers assumed had already moved on from the family's religious beliefs entirely, Janelle Brown. For years, Janelle appeared to be the most practical and independent member of the Sister Wives. While the other women often spoke about spiritual callings and religious obligations, Janelle was usually the one focusing on finances, logistics, and the everyday realities of raising such a massive family. In fact, many fans believe Janelle had quietly distanced herself from the church years ago. She didn't seem particularly active in the faith community anymore, and her approach to leaving Kody looked more like a straightforward separation than a religious divorce. But according to Suki, that assumption couldn't be further from the truth. Janelle is now seeking an official church release from her spiritual marriage to Kody. That revelation stunned even Suki during the interview. She admitted that when she first heard about Janelle's decision, she was genuinely caught off guard. Like many viewers, she believed Janelle had emotionally and spiritually detached from the marriage long ago. But apparently, the reality is far more complicated. In the religious tradition that originally shaped the Brown family's belief system, marriage is not just a legal arrangement. It is a spiritual covenant believed to extend into eternity. That means leaving a husband isn't as simple as walking away or filing paperwork in a courthouse. There are deeper spiritual implications. And for someone who was once committed to that belief system, those spiritual bonds can be difficult to completely ignore, even years after stepping away from the church itself. According to sources close to the family, Janelle wants a formal release because she cannot fully move forward with her life while that spiritual tie still exists. It's not just about ending a relationship. It's about breaking a covenant she once believed was eternal. One insider described her decision as both surprising and inevitable at the same time. Surprising because Janelle had been away from the church community for nearly a decade. But inevitable because deep down, those beliefs never entirely disappear. For someone who spent so many years in plural marriage, the idea of spiritual closure can carry enormous emotional weight. And Janelle's request has apparently created ripple effects throughout the family. Because if she receives an official release, it raises an uncomfortable question for everyone involved. What does it truly mean to leave these marriages behind? For decades, the Brown family presented their relationships on television as a blend of romance, family cooperation, and personal freedom. But underneath that narrative was always a powerful religious structure that guided their decisions. Now that structure is beginning to surface in ways the show has never fully explored. But Janelle's spiritual decision is only part of the reason season 21 could become one of the most intense chapters in the show's history. Because the spotlight is about to shift toward the adult children. For years, viewers watched these kids grow up on camera. They experienced childhood in one of the most unusual family structures imaginable, 4 mothers, 1 father, and a household filled with siblings. But as those children grew older, many of them began forming their own opinions about the lifestyle they were raised in. And those opinions haven't always been flattering toward their father. According to Suki, the upcoming season will feature the adult children stepping forward to tell their own stories in ways they never have before. Production has realized something important. The kids who grew up inside this family have perspectives that may be even more compelling than the drama between the wives. They experienced the reality of plural marriage firsthand. They saw the struggles behind the scenes. They felt the emotional consequences of having a father whose time and attention had to be divided between multiple households. And now, many of them are adults with families of their own. Their parents, their spouses. They're building lives that look very different from the one they were raised in. That creates a fascinating opportunity for the show to explore questions viewers have always wondered about. How did growing up in polygamy shape these children's views on love and marriage? Did having multiple mothers make them better parents? Or did it create emotional challenges they're still trying to work through? And perhaps the most sensitive question of all, how do they truly feel about their father now? Because one of the most talked about developments in recent seasons has been the growing distance between Kody and several of his children. Some still maintain relationships with him. Others appear to have stepped away completely. The tension between Kody and certain members of his family has been impossible to ignore. And according to insiders, some of the adult children are finally ready to explain exactly why those relationships broke down. One source close to production suggested that a few of the kids are prepared to say things on camera that could dramatically change how viewers see Kody. Another insider hinted that there may even be confrontations filmed between family members who haven't spoken openly about their conflicts before. If those moments make it into the final edit of season 21, the emotional impact could be enormous. Because for the first time, the audience might hear directly from the people who grew up inside the Brown family's complicated world. Not filtered through their parents. Not softened by family loyalty, but told from their own perspective. And if those truths begin to surface, the fallout could reshape the future of the show itself. But perhaps the most surprising revelations from Suki's interview weren't about the wives, the children, or even the upcoming season. They were about Kody himself. Because what happens behind the scenes during the tell-all tapings reveals a version of Kody Brown that fans rarely see on television. And once you hear what Suki shared about those filming sessions, it becomes impossible to look at him the same way again. By the time Suki reached the final portion of her interview, the conversation had already delivered more revelations than most fans expected. But what she shared next gave viewers an entirely different perspective on Kody Brown himself, one that rarely appears on television. Because according to Suki, the man who often presents himself as the stressed-out patriarch struggling to hold a massive family together behaves very differently when the cameras are preparing to roll. Behind the scenes, during the filming of the tell-all specials, Kody apparently has a list of demands that would make even seasoned television producers raise their eyebrows. The first thing Suki revealed sounds small, but it says a lot about the atmosphere in the room. Kody doesn't just drink water during filming. He requires special water. Not the same bottles everyone else is given. Not the standard drinks available on set. He insists on a specific type that must be prepared and placed nearby before filming begins. That detail alone might seem trivial. But when you add it to everything else Suki described, it starts to paint a much clearer picture of what happens during those tense tell-all tapings. According to her, Kody is extremely focused on his appearance while filming. He constantly checks mirrors. He requests touch-ups for his hair. And he spends an incredible amount of time deciding what he should wear on camera. In fact, Suki revealed something that left fans completely stunned. Kody reportedly brings 25 different suits to the tell-all tapings. 25. Imagine walking into a filming session with an entire wardrobe designed to project the perfect image. While the women in the family arrive prepared to simply sit down and answer difficult questions, Kody is carefully selecting which suit best represents the version of himself he wants viewers to see. Does he want to look powerful, sympathetic, authoritative? Each outfit becomes part of the strategy. Meanwhile, everyone else involved in the production simply shows up ready to talk. That contrast didn't go unnoticed by Suki. She admitted that watching Kody prepare for filming sometimes feels less like interviewing a family patriarch and more like observing someone preparing for a high-profile fashion event. And the irony of that situation hasn't been lost on fans. For years, Kody has spoken about humility, modesty, and the spiritual values that supposedly guide his life. Yet behind the scenes, he appears deeply concerned with image, presentation, and how every moment will look on camera. But Suki's behind-the-scenes stories didn't stop there. During her time interacting with the family, she also had the opportunity to visit Kody and Robyn's massive Arizona home, the house that fans often refer to as their McMansion. Curious about how the couple was living now that most of the family had moved on, Suki asked Kody if she could see the house. And according to her, he had no problem showing it off. He happily gave her a tour of the property. The size of the home alone has been a topic of heated debate among fans for years. Critics have pointed out the contrast between Kody and Robyn living comfortably in a large house while other members of the family struggled financially. Many viewers still remember when Janelle chose to live in an RV on the family's Coyote Pass property, attempting to make progress on the long-promised dream of building homes there. At the same time, Kody and Robyn were settling into one of the most expensive properties in the family's history. That contrast has fueled endless arguments among fans about fairness, priorities, and the way resources were distributed inside the Brown family. And yet, according to Suki, Kody didn't seem particularly concerned about hiding the lifestyle he now enjoys. If anything, he seemed comfortable showing it. But even with all of those revelations about the past and present of the Brown family, the most fascinating question still remains unanswered. What happens next? Because if Suki's prediction turns out to be correct, the future of Sister Wives could look very different from anything we've seen before. Imagine the storyline that would unfold if Kody and Robyn actually began courting a new woman. A completely new dynamic would enter the family. A new personality. A new relationship. A new set of challenges that would test everyone involved. Jealousy could return. The emotional negotiations that once defined the early seasons of the show could begin all over again. And for a series that has already been on television for well over a decade, that kind of reset could breathe entirely new life into the franchise. In fact, some fans have joked that if a new wife enters the picture, sister wives might run for as long as shows like Survivor, because the cycle of plural marriage never truly ends. New relationships create new tensions, new alliances form, new conflicts emerge, and viewers continue watching to see how it all unfolds. Which brings us back to that mysterious photograph from the Arizona Beer Festival. The unidentified blonde woman, the hand resting on Robyn's stomach, the comfortable body language between all three people. At the time, the internet assumed the moment hinted at pregnancy. But now, with everything Suki revealed, some fans believe that photo might have captured something much more important. It might have captured the very beginning of the next chapter in the Brown family story. Of course, none of this has been confirmed, but the possibility alone has been enough to ignite endless debates across the sister wives fandom. Would Robyn truly support bringing another woman into her marriage? Would Kody be willing to reopen the complicated world of plural relationships after everything that has happened? Or has the era of polygamy in the Brown family finally come to an end? Those questions could determine not only the future of this family, but the future of the show itself. Because if there is one thing Sister Wives fans have proven over the years, it's that no matter how chaotic things become, millions of people simply cannot stop watching. And yet, according to Suki, Kody didn't seem particularly concerned about hiding the lifestyle he now enjoys. If anything, he seemed comfortable showing it. But even with all of those revelations about the past and present of the Brown family, the most fascinating question still remains unanswered. What happens next? Because if Suki's prediction turns out to be correct, the future of Sister Wives could look very different from anything we've seen before. Imagine the storyline that would unfold if Kody and Robyn actually began courting a new woman. A completely new dynamic would enter the family. A new personality. A new relationship. A new set of challenges that would test everyone involved. Jealousy could return. The emotional negotiations that once defined the early seasons of the show could begin all over again. And for a series that has already been on television for well over a decade, that kind of reset could breathe entirely new life into the franchise. In fact, some fans have joked that if a new wife enters the picture, sister wives might run for as long as shows like Survivor. Because the cycle of plural marriage never truly ends. New relationships create new tensions. New alliances form. New conflicts emerge. And viewers continue watching to see how it all unfolds. Which brings us back to that mysterious photograph from the Arizona Beer Festival. The unidentified blonde woman. The hand resting on Robyn's stomach. The comfortable body language between all three people. At the time, the internet assumed the moment hinted at pregnancy. But now, with everything Suki revealed, some fans believe that photo might have captured something much more important. It might have captured the very beginning of the next chapter in the Brown family story. Of course, none of this has been confirmed, but the possibility alone has been enough to ignite endless debates across the sister wives fandom. Would Robyn truly support bringing another woman into her marriage? Would Kody be willing to reopen the complicated world of plural relationships after everything that has happened? Or has the era of polygamy in the Brown family finally come to an end? Those questions could determine not only the future of this family, but the future of the show itself. Because if there is one thing Sister Wives fans have proven over the years, it's that no matter how chaotic things become, millions of people simply cannot stop watching.